Hello, hello. Let me first invite my guests. Um, hey, hello. How are you guys doing? So, yes, let me invite Sky and Ziad. I see Sky.
Hi.
Hey, Sky. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm trying to see if I can get Ziad online. I can't find him.
Oh,
Yeah. But okay, yeah, welcome everybody. We'll just wait till Ziad logs in or till he joins. Then I'll invite him because I can't quite find him. But when he does appear, we'll invite him. And yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Yeah, here we are again at our weekly live. We have these live sessions. Hey, look, it's yeah, I invited him. Yeah, we have these live sessions every Wednesday at 10:30 Pacific time. We will be discussing different tech topics, which I personally find super useful. And yeah, today's topic will be building a personal brand as a developer or a creator in the tech industry. Hey Ziad, how are you?
Hey Dweez, how's it going?
I'm doing great. We just started. Yeah, I was just getting into the topic of today. So it's building a personal brand as a developer or a content creator in tech. So yeah, we'll get straight in it. The first question. So, well, before I get in it, if you guys are like you enjoy what we're talking about and you get so much value from it, feel free to drop gifts, drop roses, whatever you feel like. Okay, so the first question: how does personal branding impact career growth in tech? We'll start with Sky with this one. I feel like yeah, it's a good question to start off with.
yeah, sure. So I think that building a personal brand online in like all these different social media spaces and LinkedIn and everything that you can do is super important, especially now if you're worried about like AI taking over your job or something like that. Like no one can replace you. So just building a personal brand and showing who you are and showing what you have to offer online is a really good way to just connect and do like it's like the new like networking. I've gotten like so many opportunities through my Instagram and even TikTok and everything because I've like put out what I'm doing and my journey and everything that I'm learning. And that's just something that like other people can see. So even though there's a lot of competition with like other computer science students that we're all kind of learning the same thing. The fact that I'm like showing what I'm learning and showing how I've learned like over the past year or so, I've gotten a lot of opportunities, and it just makes it easier for people to find you.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree. Whenever you look up networking, um, it's nowadays it's quite, I think it's a bit easier. Like if you have social media, I think it's it like drops a lot of barriers that come with it. But yeah, I would like to hear more, Ziad. How do you experience it? Like how did personal branding impact your career growth?
It definitely helped in a positive way. I think the best thing that it did for me was the fact that I was known as like a guy who was really passionate about tech. So every time, like anytime you apply to a job anywhere really, or you just like contact someone about an opportunity, usually one of the first things they'll do is like look you up and see kind of like what your digital footprint looks like. And they always tell you to make sure you're posting things online that you'd be willing to like be proud of and show to everyone and be completely fine with it. So having a brand in tech really help because like if I'm applying for software engineering positions and the recruiters or the hiring managers would look me up, they'd be like, "Oh, like this guy really enjoys what he does. He enjoys it so much that he has like a whole TikTok page about it or Instagram page about it." So that definitely helped because it really makes your digital footprint very positive, and it makes it seem that you're really passionate about what you do and you care about technology.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. I think also it also like displays some sort of knowledge. I mean, growing a social media account is like a skill on its own outside of like what we do. I mean, it's just something that you have to learn. It's not just something that you learn as you post. So I think brands or companies, it definitely shows like as you were saying, Ziad, it definitely shows versatility, I think. Yeah, if there are questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and we will get to them as soon as we can. But meanwhile, I'll go to the next question. So, what are some unique challenges for personal branding in tech? Mm, well, I'll go with this one first. I think for me, the biggest challenge was time. Like when I first started with posting, that was a year ago. I had to make separate time. I would do that in the morning. I would wake up at 5 and like write my post and post them. And the time was definitely one of the biggest challenges for me in regards to personal branding. Because when I got in yeah in tech in posting, I was still in my learning phase, so I was still learning coding, and I just started posting, and the time was my biggest rival. But how did you guys experience it? I'm curious to hear. Anyone?
Yeah, I mean, very similar to what you said. I think time was like a big factor. The like when you're a software engineer, like your time's already limited. I work like a job alongside like doing TikTok and stuff like that, and so I tend to like do everything on the weekends, for example. So obviously that takes time, and it also takes just like mental like effort to keep it going. And I think what was difficult for me is that like social media is not one of those things where you see like instant results from. Like you need to be consistent with it over time. So having that like mental willpower for knowing that at some point it'll pay off was it was difficult, but I can positively say that like it does like pay off. So yeah, that was my experience. What about you, Sky?
Yeah, I definitely agree with the time thing. It takes like so much time to even like gain traction. Like it could take you years, honestly, until you like really see something come from it. But also another challenge, I think specifically in like the tech niche, because sometimes like my tech page and everything is the first social media page that I've really ever had other than personal ones. So sometimes I question like my niche because it's very hard in this space. Sometimes like you either have to come at it as like you're an expert, so you are like really good at JavaScript or really good at something and you're an expert in your field. But I'm not like an expert at anything. I'm just like going along, but showing people what a beginner looks like or whatever. So finding like my niche and like kind of creating my own little path, being like, I'm not an expert. I'm just in school. I'm learning. I kind of know some of this. That was like a challenge for me. It's still kind of a challenge for me to find like what angle I could come at tech with in like social media.
Yeah, for me it was the same. Like I wasn't like a specialist in anything, but what I did notice that like there are certain topics that you are more knowledgeable about than others. So I think making videos about topics like that definitely helped me because in the beginning, just like you, Sky, I wasn't an expert or anything. I'm still not an expert. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of finding what works for you. Right. So next question will be, can a personal brand conflict with what you do for work? So for example, in your free time, you talk about self-learning and you work for a company that sells courses. Yeah, I would like to hear what do you guys think before I get in it. I would like to hear your thoughts on this.
So does it conflict you're saying with like your main job, or what do you mean? Can you
Y- Yeah.
explain? Yeah.
So like for example, yeah, sorry. So you work for a company that sells courses and you talk about self-learning in your free time. Like at what point does the company, like what you do for work, conflict with what you do in your free time? Like you work, I'm struggling to phrase this. It's like let me put it like this. So you are working for a company that sells courses and you make videos about other free courses on the internet. Videos similar to how I do. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, on social media, I would say like usually, because you'll kind of notice this as you start to grow, is that you'll start to hear from like a lot of different brands that want to like either work with you or partner with you in some way or something like that. And what I've noticed is that like it, you'll do a much better job if you like really strongly agree with whatever that company's doing. And this kind of doesn't only apply to social media, honestly. Like, even if you work in tech and you're like offered a certain position or something like that, you need to like both ethically agree with what the company is doing or the products that it's making, but also like just really believe like in the product. So that also applies to brands. Like if a brand is approaching you about like, like promoting product X, like you need to personally really believe in that product and really like actually like what it's doing, in order for you to like start promoting it or in one way or another. And same thing in tech. I mean, if you're gonna work for a company that sells like, if it's working in AI, for example, right? Like you're doing some AI thing, like you need to like agree that, AI is good for humanity and ethically it's great and whatever the product is doing is going to make the world a better place. Otherwise, you're just not going to do as good of a job. And this is actually why like a lot of people refuse to work at certain companies, like Facebook, for example, has a lot of people that don't want to work for it because they like ethically don't agree with like a lot of the privacy concerns, for example. So it kind of applies to social media and tech, I think, as well. Make sure that you're really like you could advocate for this company in your free time and you really believe in its products.
Yeah. Yeah. Sky, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, Ziad, I totally agree. I thought like working with Practicum because I am a computer science student, so I'm at like a large state university, that I just like wouldn't either give any value to a boot camp TikTok page or it wouldn't like align correctly. But what I found is that we all have like the same goal to become software engineers or be in the tech space somewhere, whether it's like data science or anything like that. But the way that you get there just depends on, not everyone can go to a university. Not everyone's interested in that. Not everyone can self-learn. I know I cannot self-learn. Like if I don't have like a professor telling me when to turn something in and thousands of dollars for a course, I'm not gonna get anything done. So boot camps are like a good medium. But yeah, the way that you get there is not the same for everyone, but we all kind of want to get to the same place. And then also with like the brands too, like with my personal account, like a lot of people who follow me are either in tech or want to get into tech. And I've never, before Practicum, like I've never mentioned a boot camp ever. And I've been reached out to by like so many different boot camps because I actually do. And I've seen other people promote some boot camps and they've reached out to me and I look at kind of like their structure or what they're offering and I can't fully get behind them other than like Practicum. It's the only one I could get behind, because they are, they do cost a lot of money. And like, even though I'm getting paid X amount of money to promote a boot camp. If one person takes my advice and spends, 15K and doesn't have the best experience, like I couldn't think of doing that. So that's why when like I went with Practicum, I really did like my due diligence, and I like had to look at like what are the like job rates after graduation and everything like that. But yeah, that I feel like is just a big one. Like especially in this space, there's so many, like that would be kind of conflicting with my own social media presence. But yeah, that's why I love Practicum, because I feel like it's definitely one of those boot camps that like people are just seeing results. So I'm like very happy promoting it, but not all of them.
Yeah, due diligence is important indeed. Yeah, otherwise Sky is evil, you know? Like Sky made me spend 15K on the boot camp and
Oh my
it
gosh,
didn't work out. Yeah, it's
that would keep me up
Sky's
at night.
fault. Yeah, no, I definitely think that people should do research in these things. Of course, you're making a pretty big decision, so yeah, it's important to outsource your options. Yeah, for everyone in the live, please do give us a follow if you haven't. And we are here every week on Wednesday, 10:30 Pacific time, 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, and we will be discussing topics similar to these ones. So there has been a question in the chat, and the question is, do you have any social media advice to boost your impact in the tech world? That's a very good question. I will get in this one. I first. For social media advice to boost your impact in the tech world, I think what a lot of people are struggling with is, yeah, they don't know where to start. Like if me for myself, I there were a lot of things that I didn't know when I was first trying to get in tech, and I had to go on Google and manually search for things. There is social media nowadays. If you train your algorithm enough, you will find a bunch of Ziad videos or my videos or Sky's videos, and you will get more knowledge about the topic. But I think if you really want to make an impact, it's by getting people outside of tech to be interested in tech. And I think the best way to do that is, yeah, with videos for beginners. Like, as I mentioned earlier, I made video for beginners because I was a beginner myself, struggling with questions about beginners. So I think that's one of the main ways to do it. But what do you guys think, Sky?
I think what was the question? Like to make an impact in the tech field when you're doing social media. I think the biggest way to, I guess, get views and like kind of enter the space and like actually be able to be a part of it. I would say just see what other creators are doing in the space. Like what are they focusing on? I know you mentioned like beginner stuff. I know a lot of like creators, they don't really niche down to like a really small topic that like only experts will understand, because that's a really small audience. So yeah, just make your audience more broad, and then just check out what like top creators are doing. Like I know a lot of people are doing like tutorials or talking about like really cool like tech resources or websites. Like just kind of I mean, I'm crazy, like I'll make like an entire spreadsheet of like top performing videos, what the comments were, what the questions were, like hashtags, everything like that. So if you want to get crazy like that, I feel like that would be good. But honestly, just quality of content too. As long as you're happy with like the quality that you're putting out, it's still going to take time. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah, I agree with it. It becomes super niche. Like the more advanced the topics get, the more difficult it is for non-techies to get in it. So yeah, I definitely think it's just the best to keep it broad for everybody. Make videos for everybody. So yeah, do you have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, to boost impact on technology through social media, I remember what I would do is take topics that I like really personally had a hard time with. Like, for example, for me, like interviewing was just like a daunting thing, and like doing leak code and stuff was pretty tough. So a lot of like my initial videos were about like, t like tackling like one of the harder topics in leak coding, for example. And I felt like if I could help like one person, like with something that I really struggled with, and that would be like a positive impact. And it was nice because like every now and then one of those videos would like blow up and get a ton of traction. So it would just like feel really good to know that that a difficult topic was like approached in a certain way, and a lot of people tended to like it. So yeah, I think that was one of my main things.
Yeah, yeah, great, thank you. So we'll go quickly to the next question. Also, guys, remember if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat and we will get back to you as quick as possible. So, the next question is, how do you balance authenticity in your personal branding? How do you balance authenticity in your personal branding? I'll go first. So, I think this is like, for me at least, is one of the more difficult things. Um, I think it's mainly because I think most of us we write a script, or yeah, sometimes you make a post just it's unscripted and you just make it. But for me, I most of my posts are scripted. So when I write something on paper and then like make a video from it, I really struggle to get my personality out there. And yeah, I at some point I just realized, you know what, I'll just stick to this dry persona. Like some creators have like a persona that they stick to. It's just a thing. And it's in growth strategies, they do advise you sometimes to create a persona. So I did that in yeah, in on a lesser way. But being authentic is also like it's not easy for me to begin with, so I developed a persona. But my question was to you, like, did you guys also do that, or did you just remain authentic with your content and brand building? Because I can imagine when you're making content and a company approaches you, they look at your authenticity, like is your personality coming through your content? So yeah, how do you guys deal with this?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of similar to what I talked about earlier, where like if you interview or like apply at a position, especially in tech, like everybody will look you up on social media. So it's important that you like present yourself on social media the same way that you would be in real life with people that like potentially you would actually work with. So like, like I've had, senior staff engineers like look me up and then interview me like an hour later and be like, yeah, like I saw that you made videos about X, Y, and Z. So I felt like it was really important to be authentic because if you weren't, then they would start being like, definitely like I wouldn't say, I don't know if doubting is the right word, but like just being weirded out that they're talking to like a different personality than the one they saw online. So I think it's really important from that aspect. And it's just best to present yourself because then like if a company really likes your personality online or like how you present yourself on Instagram and TikTok and they want to work with you because of that, then you'll also like attract people that you would probably potentially want to work with. So staying authentic is definitely super important.
Yeah, I agree,
Yeah,
Zia.
Sky,
And
anything you want to add?
yeah, I definitely agree. Being authentic is really important, and I feel like that will definitely help grow your audience as well because people there's so many people online nowadays. Like I'll see someone who has like a million followers and I've never heard of them, and I feel like the old internet days, like if someone had a million followers, like everyone in the world like who was on the internet knew who that was. But I feel like nowadays like your personality is definitely what shows through in your content because everyone can just, I mean, a lot of content is like kind of regurgitated. Like it's very similar to each other, but you wouldn't know the difference if you didn't see like different personalities having their take on it. And then also with like just being genuine, like obviously we were talking about brand sponsorships and stuff, like just don't do anything that you wouldn't, feel comfortable with people in your personal life thinking that you're promoting or whatever. Like if you don't really believe in a brand or believe in even if a topic is super big in your niche and you're not about it or whatever, like you don't have to engage in it or whatever, just staying true to like who you really are instead of just being like, oh, what's going to get views. I think that shows through, and people do notice. People are smarter than we think, and they do notice those subtle, like your personality showing and like what you stand for and stuff. They do get it.
Yeah. No, for me it's been really difficult, like expressing my personality through videos like that because I am more introverted as a person. So like this whole thing, I wasn't even on social media before like I started posting. I didn't have social media. I deleted my social media. It's been like 3 years or something, and that got back on after. So it was a bit challenging for me, but I will try to be more authentic, as you guys said. If you guys have tips and tricks for me in regards to that, please let me know.
I know what
Okay,
you mean,
so
Luis, because I'm
yeah.
not a social media person. Like my personal page, I have like maybe 100 people that I follow and like follow me, and it's like all family and some friends. But like before this, I was like never showing myself on the internet. So I totally know what you mean.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so I will get in the next question. Before that, I will again remind you guys that we are here every week on Wednesday. So the next question is, what role does networking play in personal branding for people in tech? Does anyone want to go first?
Can you repeat the question one more time?
What role does networking play in personal branding for people in tech?
What role does networking? Yeah, I mean, personally, I think I've met so many like awesome people online, like, and especially when it comes to like the fact that we just got out of COVID, when people were staying at home, and it's like networking events weren't exactly like the number one thing during COVID. Networking through social media was super helpful. That's actually like when I started doing social media, was like kind of like beginning of COVID, when I just had like a lot more free time at home and stuff like that. So, meeting people online who are like in the same industry, was pretty cool because I mean those are people that you would have definitely never crossed paths with like ever in your life. Like they could have either lived in different areas, or you just would have never gotten the opportunity to meet them. So I remember like the number one thing for me is like when I post something, whether it's on TikTok or Instagram, like having people in the comments say like, yeah, like this is so true. I work at X or Y company, and like this is also what we do or something, is super cool because then you get to hear like a much broader set of perspectives, and just like interact with some really awesome people. I know there's like some people in this live who are like engineers at so and so company, and I would have never met them if it wasn't for like a live stream like this. So I think it's another pro of like trying to brand yourself online as an engineer, because like people will connect with you, when they see that, and it's a pretty awesome experience when you meet someone really cool online.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Sky?
Yeah, I think it's something like having a social media page. You don't have to do it, but I feel like it's such a benefit. Like you don't have to have a LinkedIn, but it's going to be very hard to, connect with people without one. The same thing with like, sorry, I have jets flying over. I don't know if it's really loud. But you don't have to have like you could, make like a personal website, like a portfolio website is what a lot of people do. But nowadays it's so easy to just show yourself and who you are because it's another element. And I think it just definitely benefits you because then you can have people reaching out to you because they found you and they're interested in you and they want to work with you. Before I don't work at the U.S. Air Force, but I live near one. But yeah, I definitely think it's a benefit. It's like I said, it's not something you have to do, but it's going to be so relevant. I feel like, especially in like the coming years, I feel like everyone's going to have kind of their social media that's like their portfolio.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree, and it's especially like as the ad said, you meet a lot of people that you wouldn't have normally met, and you connect with them, and you exchange ideas, and all of these things matter ultimately for you as a developer and your progress as a developer. And it also brings a lot of opportunities, I think. I think in any space, if you know people, you just have more opportunities. Like maybe, you know, you spoke to someone who knows someone that, I don't know, is an engineer at this company and they're looking for an engineer and they refer to you. So yeah, it's definitely a lot of opportunities. If you're not networking, I think you're leaving a lot on the table for sure. Um, I'm Let me go in the next question. I was just reading in the chat. You guys are having interesting conversations over there. I can't really engage with you. I have to do multiple things. So, okay, next question. So we just talked about networking, and now we will talk about how personal branding can help individuals in tech stand out in a crowded market. So, yeah, the question is, how can personal branding help people in tech stand out in a crowded market? I think we kind of touched on it earlier. But do you guys have anything you would like to add to this?
I think it just gives you like credibility. So when you are at like a networking event, or I was at a wedding, like a family wedding, a couple weeks
Hmm.
ago, and like a distant cousin, uncle on someone's side worked at Amazon as like a project manager. So we were talking, and I'm like, I love Amazon. I've been trying to apply at Amazon, but I told them about what I do on like TikTok and Instagram. And also I love what I'm doing right now too. So I was kind of just like, this is what I do, but Amazon's cool too. So it kind of gives me like a little bit of credibility. Like I have this following behind me. Even if you don't have a following, if you put out, really good work and you can kind of show who you are, what you do, and that you're passionate about something. Because when you apply to um, anywhere and the interview, like they're mostly concerned for like the not the technical side, but the other interviews are like, are you passionate about this? Is this something that you do in your free time? Is this something that you're going to want to keep doing and developing even when you're not getting paid to do it? So it kind of shows that like you are very interested in it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I definitely want to add as well, like, I think standing out via social media can be done especially if you're like kind of specializing in something and you can like really show that on social media. Like for example, if you're specifically in like data science, like that's like what your chosen kind of field is, and you're really good at what you do, then you can show that on social media. And it doesn't have to be like you directly saying I am good at X, Y, and Z, but it's like you making videos about like a niche subject or a niche topic can show that you're like an expert there. So if you're saying like, top 10 tips for data scientists or something like that, then the person posting that probably has some sense of what it's like to be a data scientist. So I think, yeah, like really showing what you're good at online and not just like generalizing that, hey, like I am in tech or I work in tech or whatever, is important. And by the way, like this isn't just um like just for Instagram and TikTok, for example, but like everybody has like a LinkedIn, for example. Like that's a form of social media, like making sure you're optimizing things like that and really showing your digital footprint online is super important, regardless of the social media that you're using. So definitely don't take it with a grain of salt, because a lot of people can get rejected or accepted at like pretty key job positions based on how present they are online.
Yeah, Yeah, on online presence, and I keep telling people this, like, if you really like in tech especially, you can do a lot more than just being a developer. And I think it all starts with an online presence, as you mentioned, Ziad. And on LinkedIn is also a big platform where developers can post and yeah, exchange ideas. So yeah, to go back to the question, which is how to stand out in a crowded industry. Like again, if you are have some expertise in some field, make content about that, write post about it on social media. Just show your knowledge, share your knowledge. People appreciate it. So yeah, I definitely recommend you to build your online presence. We don't have a lot of questions left, so I think unless in the chat you guys have questions, please ask and
Yeah,
we will answer them.
someone was saying, can your posts be used against you? And I think that's like a good one to kind of answer. I can even start off. So like, I'll kind of rephrase this as like, how do you handle like negativity in your posts, for example, or like negative reaction to your posts? And Dweez, I know you have a lot to talk about this as well. I think it's really important to realize that like, even in the real world, if you're not even on social media, it's impossible for you to like perfectly get along with everybody in the world. You know, it's just like different personalities clash, and that's just the way it is. So when you think about the concept of social media, it's just amplified because you're reaching so many more people. Like it's kind of crazy. Like on TikTok, when you post a video and it gets like 500 views, you don't think of that as like a lot. You're like, oh, this isn't viral. But when you think about the fact that like 500 individuals like saw that post, that's a pretty big number. So when something goes viral and you get like 30,000 likes or something like that, you need to understand that like of those 30,000 people that liked your video, there's bound to be like some of them that just didn't like agree with you or didn't like what you said or something like that. So I think like keeping that in mind when you if you read like negative comments or someone who doesn't disagree with or who disagrees with you or whatever, like understand that that's like natural. I've never had a situation where a post is like used against me or something like that, but you're definitely gonna just reach people that you may not agree with. But that's part of like just society, like disagreeing with each other and seeing like different perspectives and stuff like that.
Yeah, we're not the same, and I think it's natural for us to disagree with each other. Personally, when I do get negative comments or things of that nature in my videos, I don't typically reply or pay much attention to it because I understand that again, people disagree with you. Like just the same way someone liked the video, there's a chance that someone doesn't like it, and that's okay. Like not everyone is the same, but you shouldn't let these things get to you as long as you understand that everyone has their opinion on things and their own perspective of life, that they live a separate reality than yours. You shouldn't pay much attention to it unless you really purposely try to make something controversial and then you're receiving hate for it, then it's on you. But if you get some negative feedback here and there, just take it for the next time and don't let it personally affect you. That's how I deal with it. Sky, do you also deal with these negative things?
Yeah, as far as like your posts being used against you, I mean, you do have to kind of like decide how much you want to self-censor. Because like you have to say like, okay, is my goal to network and to, try to work with like another company, or do I want to use this as like a stepping stone to get a better job? So then you might not want to like I was making a TikTok about or a video about something, and it was like a news segment about Google and like Jeffrey Hinton leaving Google. And I think I said something where I was like, oh, that says a lot about Google or something. And I'm like, I'm going to take that out because, like, what if I want to work at Google one day? Like, I don't completely want to, like, bash a company just in case I want to. But that's just like me. Like, that's how far I would go to maybe take a small part out to be like, okay, well, if Google ever saw that, they'd probably be like, yeah, I don't want to work with you. So it's just like
Yeah,
they could be used against you. Like, obviously, don't say anything that you don't feel comfortable being, online
Yeah. I
forever.
want
yeah.
to I want to say someone in the chat, someone Thai engineer said that you should use the grandma method when posting, which means that if you're not comfortable with your grandma reading whatever you're posting or writing, then you shouldn't say it at all. So I thought that
Totally
was pretty
fair.
good. Also, I wanted to add on what Sky was saying. So like I see a lot of like posts, especially on LinkedIn, like really viral posts that will be like someone hating on some experience that they had or something like that with like either a company or a recruiter or whatnot. And even though those posts go viral, like I've definitely seen people lose opportunities because of that. Like for example, like I have a personal friend that I know that went through like a pretty bad experience with an Amazon recruiter. And he ended up posting about it online, like on LinkedIn, and it was like out of frustration, like something had just happened that day, and he like shared the entire experience online, basically like bashing the recruiter without like naming them or anything, but he was just saying like this recruiting process like sucks, and this is why, this is what I went through, and the issue with that is like, yeah, like some people will agree with you and the post might go viral and it might get a ton of likes. But realistically, like no one is gonna change like their entire recruiting process because of your post, for example. And at the same time, you might be losing out on opportunities that are like, another recruiter might see that and be like, oh, like I don't want to interview this guy because he might, or I don't want to work with him because if he has a bad experience, he'll just like go post about it online and it'll be like bad reputation for me or my company. So just like be careful of stuff like that because you can think that like, hey, like I'm being an activist or something and like causing change by like posting this. In some cases it might be true. Like there's some things that we should speak out against when it comes to the industry. Like if it's something about like discrimination or racism or something like that, then yeah, like go definitely go talk about those topics. But at the same time, if it's something like you just had like a bad experience with some process or some company or some like individual, you have to remember that like individuals might not represent the company as a whole. Like there's so many factors that could have led to that experience. So it's just like not fair for you to kind of go and speak out against that. And at the same time, it just might harm you. So keep that kind of in mind when you're like posting things online, and remember that things online never, like, for example, my friend ended up deleting that post, but like everybody had already seen it. Like digital footprints are always there. You can always like recover what's been deleted and stuff like that. So I just would keep that in mind that anything that you post on the internet is like there infinitely. So be mindful of what you put online.
This is like the number one
yeah.
reason that I don't leave like Yelp reviews because I've found that if you look up someone's first and last name, like, as you do when you're stalking someone, you look it up and you can see all of their reviews, their Amazon reviews,
Yeah.
and some of them are like, super terrible if they had a bad experience. But I'm just like, oh my gosh, I don't want anyone to see my name next to like a horrible review at Chili's. So I like just don't do it or like use a fake name or something.
Yeah.
I just wish someone told me this earlier because I, a few months ago, I made this post like, you will never use Google after watching this. And now I can't go back from that. Like, what
Oh
if I want to
no,
work at Google now? I won't
Reese
get a
is
job
canceled.
because I got canceled. I canceled myself. Like, that's the worst part. But the post did do really well though. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't like anything harmful like that. I just thought it was funny and there was no ill intent behind it. But yeah, these things definitely may come back and haunt you. Like later, you guys work at Google and I'm just I can't work at Google. But yeah, I have to live with it now.
Well, there's a
We
healthy
have 15.
competition too.
Mhm.
So if Google ups their game, maybe you could make a new TikTok and be like, Google is the best. They're
Yes,
always
yes,
going back
all
and
of the sudden. Yes. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, so we have two more questions left, and we will just go through these unless there are more questions in the chat that I may have missed. Mm, no. So the question is, how has personal branding evolved in the tech industry over the years? Well, since I am not like I think of all of us, Ziad has the most experience in tech. I think yeah, you should go first.
Yeah, can you repeat it one more time, the question?
So the question is, how has personal branding evolved in the tech industry over the years?
Yeah, I think with more social medias, especially coming out in the past few years, like TikTok definitely like in the past, I don't know, like 4 years or something, has like really blown up. So it's become a pretty important piece in personal branding. I think what I can say is evolved definitely is just the education piece and the fact that it's given like a lot more opportunities to people who otherwise wouldn't have had the opportunity to like get into tech. So it was like a combination of a few things in the last few years, like us going remote for, a year and a half or something, like fully remote, definitely gave a lot of people opportunities to work in tech because they, didn't live in Silicon Valley or they didn't live in like the select cities that tech companies operated in. Like people from all over the world all of a sudden could like now get hired remotely and work full time with a distributed workforce. Like for example, the company that I'm at, like half of my team is on the East Coast. They're like in Boston or Toronto or something like that, and the company's headquarters is in San Francisco. So that wouldn't have been possible a few years ago. And I think social media played a big part of that because like a lot of people who might not have even considered tech as a possible career, they got like one tech TikTok that popped up for them and they started thinking about it. And you know how like the For You page works, like once you start liking one particular niche subject, you'll start getting more and more of that kind of topic. So if somebody like in the middle of like a rural city, like somewhere far away from like San Francisco, where a lot of the tech companies operate, if they're getting like a lot of TikToks or Instagram reels like on their feeds, they start thinking about it. It's become a lot easier to like get to learn and see that there is an opportunity for you in tech. So I think yeah, over like especially in the past like few years, that's become more and more prevalent, where people from all around the world are getting hired by some of the biggest companies in the world.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Sky, do you have anything you would like to add to this?
I would just say, coming from like a computer science, like in college background, I feel
Mhm.
like, yeah, a lot of people are, a lot of like, especially like Gen Z are putting themselves out there. Like we have, now at universities, we have like online career fairs. Even if like sometimes we could have in person, it just, you can have like three or four online career fairs instead of just one in person. So I feel like the newer generation is getting used to like obviously everything being online. And I know a lot of people who have gotten like really good opportunities by just hopping on Zoom calls and, networking that way. So I definitely think it's, something that we should all be doing.
Yeah, a friend of mine got on a Zoom call once. Like, I don't know, it was something similar. Like, I don't know what exactly it was, but Mark Ruffalo was in there. Like he was
Oh, no
just
way.
casually sitting there. Yeah, he was just there. So yeah, indeed, you may just run across someone crazy, especially now with everything being online. And I think it's really cool. Like with what we're doing now, like we are much more flexible in regards to yeah how you work and where you work from and all of these things. So yeah, I think it's just only going to keep getting better, I guess. So that's cool. I'm excited to see how it will all unfold 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I cannot imagine it, honestly.
Mhm.
So we will now go to the last question. We will end a bit early, I think, today. So the question is, how can people in tech use their personal brand to become thought leaders in their field?
Yeah, I think
So yeah.
I
Hmm.
yeah, I can go. So I think like the idea of sharing ideas online is like so much easier now. Like a lot of my TikToks are like either funny skits or something like that, but every now and then like I'll post something that's just like my similar to what you said, like my thoughts on like a particular subject, like for example, is AI going to take over software engineering as an industry? That's just like a topic that a lot of people in the tech industry are talking about. So, like, sharing your opinions on that on social media is important. Because if you, like, you don't, it's kind of crazy. Like, nowadays, you don't have to be like Bill Gates to get in front of thousands of people and like share your opinion on something, right? Like, if you post something on TikTok and it's something that you're obviously very passionate about and other people like what you're saying or like the way that you're talking, you can reach easily thousands of people with that thought. Like I, for example, recently I posted a video that was like just my thoughts on like the recruiting process, and that got like it didn't go viral, but it was like 5,000 views. And when again, like when you think about the fact that like 5,000 people like heard what you said, that could fill like an entire opera hall and more, right? So that's like that's a lot of people that you're reaching. So I think that's why it is important to be on social media. I think you get to like contribute to the narrative that's going on, and yeah, like I think the next generation of like thought leaders won't only be like the billionaires and the successful founders and stuff like that. It'll be like just normal people voicing their opinions online.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. Like, you don't need to be a billionaire, or like if you make something and you just resonate with people, like again, we typically, like for me at least, I look at the video, I'm like, 5,000 views, it flopped. But if you put it in perspective, it's not, because that's still, again, it's 5,000 individuals. Like, I don't know that many people. So yeah, Sky, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the term thought leader kind of reminds me of I was watching this guy's live last night, and I've never seen him before, but I ended up following him. He was like an older guy, he was like maybe 55, and he was talking about AI. And he kept mentioning, like, he's like, I have an acting degree. He wrote like screenplays. He wrote like 7 screenplays, but he like got into computers and AI. And now he said earlier that day he did like a speech or like a presentation at like an army base about AI because he's like so into it. And he like built a couple apps and like works with all the plugins and everything. And now he works with like a few like tech startups with like AI and integrating AI into their business. But I mean, he just like basically decided like, hey, I'm really interested in this. He made like, a TikTok. I think he had like 30,000 followers on TikTok. I wish I had his name. Oh, you saw him too, Ty Engineer? Yeah, he was really cool, and he definitely felt to me like a thought leader. And it just like kind of inspired me because I'm like, wow, like you don't have to have like really a degree in this. You don't have to have like a name or years of experience behind you. If you do like your research and you're passionate and you can become like an expert in it on your own because you can learn anything online nowadays, then you can like really make an impact. Like he seemed like he really was making like a huge impact. But yeah, that was like super inspiring to me. So I think anybody nowadays, like you guys were saying, like just normal people are going to be like experts and thought leaders in this field.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. And I think definitely, like, for both of you, you are thought leaders. I mean, you are out there posting content about a topic like you decided to go back to university and study it. Ziad caught on and started posting. I didn't know what I was talking about. I was just posting videos as I learned. And it definitely has an impact. Again, if people resonate with what you're talking about, and if, yeah, there's interest in the topic, you're bringing value to others, you're sharing your perspective, I think you can make a big difference for others. And we don't like we don't pay enough attention to this. I feel like personally, I'm so busy with making content all the time. I don't like stand still and think, oh wow, like maybe I actually made, I changed someone's life. Like someone went and learned something because of something I said. So I think it's really cool. And yeah, that's all what it's about, right? It's about providing value to your audience and yeah, being the best you can be, being the best creator you can be. Thank you guys for today. That was our last question. We are here every Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. You give us a follow if you haven't. And yeah, check out our coding bootcamp. It's not like going to be a horror story. We promise you, we're not going to have a bad experience. And don't come and say Dwizzy, Ad, and Sky are evil after that because yeah, it's just not going to be the case. We have an awesome bootcamp. Yeah, is there anything else you guys want to add?
No, just definitely thank you for all the great conversations that you guys let me have in the comments. Like, we have a lot of awesome viewers, so keep joining us every week, and yeah, I'm excited to see you guys then.
Yeah, this one was amazing. And then if we missed any questions, we'll always answer them like the next week. So next Wednesday, we'll answer all the other questions.
Awesome.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you guys. I'll see you all next week and take care.
Awesome. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.